want to welcome everyone here tonight. My name's Tim Carey. I'm the head coach for the team this year. Got an amazing group of guys over to my left here that have worked really, really hard. I've got this one. Can you not hear me? Can you hear me down the back? Yeah? Great. Okay. Probably leave it at that. That have worked really, really hard, and since, October, November last year. And we've now come to the point where we can celebrate tonight the naming of the 30-man squad. So again, thanks for taking your time tonight to come. And I'd first like to welcome up Kathy from Lincoln High to share a few words.
Kia ora koutou, ngā mihi nui kia koutou, and welcome this evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to share in the celebrations for the naming of the Selwyn School's first 15 for 2021. First time we've ever been able to say that, so it feels good. We consider the Miles Toyota Championship to be a prestigious competition for our top under-18 rugby players, and we're excited by the prospects that this team brings to 2021. I'd like to acknowledge the team that the coaches and the management team that are behind these boys. They've put in a considerable amount of time and effort to get us here tonight for the official launch of the 30-man squad. So to Tim, to Dan, to Todd, to Andrew and to Travis, an old boy who is Travis here tonight, for giving their time to make this team a reality. I'd also like to acknowledge Leslie and Blair, who have done a lot of work behind the scenes to support the organisation behind the team structure and where we're at tonight. And the parents who, in my view, get 10 out of 10 for the fundraising efforts they've done already. It's exceptional and it's hugely appreciated to see the boys launch the team with such a positive and strong financial backing. So I really appreciate the team that probably got their heads together at the end of last year to say, let's make a difference here. So really appreciate this. One of my favourite books, leadership books, is called Legacy. And it talks about the All Blacks journey. The All Blacks are role models for many New Zealanders in the same way that you boys will be role models for our local schools. The All Blacks tidy up after themselves. Just want to remind you, they sweep the sheds. They do it properly, so no one else has to do it. Because no one else looks after the All Blacks look after themselves. Humility, excellence and respect are true values for the All Blacks, and I think they should be true values for all of you, both on and off the field. Never be too big to do the small things that need to be done. Believe me, they get noticed. Mā te huruhuru ka ruri te manu. Adorn the bird with feathers so it may fly. Your parents, the coaches and the managers will all help equip you for the year ahead. May you all fly with the opportunities afforded to you this season. I wish you all the very best on behalf of the principals tonight. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
I'd now like to welcome up Hayden from Rolleston College.
Kia ora koutou. I'll just keep it brief. Thanks, Kathy, for those great words, and very great to think about the All Blacks, and hopefully these young men are aspiring to take sport as far as they can. From our perspective, Rolleston College, Horawika Haimata, it's incredibly exciting to be part of this side, and it's obviously pretty amazing to be part of the Selwyn combined first 15 this year. It's an incredibly professional setup, and that and I want to, I guess, thank Leslie and I want to thank Blair for all the work that they've done already, as Kathy has. But I just wanted to reiterate that, because it's no mean feat getting this team together and putting them up against some incredibly competitive units, as I'm sure they will all find out throughout the season. But it's very exciting times. It's very exciting times for our school to be part of this, and we're just really grateful for the opportunity, and grateful that our boys get to play in such a quality sporting environment. And we wish the team all the best, and we can't wait to be hosting some matches throughout the year, just to get a real taste for this top level competition. So thank you, and all the best, boys.
Thank you very much, Kathy and Hayden. So now was the time. I actually was going to have an ex-player who's gone on to do some great things within our game. Will Golter was meant to be here and share some words with you. Unfortunately, Will had an accident and he's not available tonight. So I'd like to invite Andy, our manager, to come up, and Will's actually written a speech, so Andy will read it on behalf of Will.
Yeah, good evening everyone. So this is on behalf of Will Golter, so I'll just read it out. This will be short and sharp. Tim came to me and asked me to explain to you boys what it means to be a Badger. And guess I relay what I learnt in my time at Lincoln Combined, Selwyn Schools Combined First 15. I sort of had to think about what it means to myself and the past boys to be a Badger, and narrowed it down to 3 words: passion, belief and work ethic. I think those 3 to 4 words are done well and make a great bunch of boys a special bunch. The opportunities given to you boys playing this rugby is also very special. First 15 rugby is something you never forget. The fun you boys have, the trips that you get to go on, or the chemistry and friendships built over beers shared on a Saturday night is second to none. Being a Badger is something that I and all the boys before you take very much pride in. It's a team. Like the honey badger, that takes on and beats bigger prey. It's fast, cunning and never gives up. I'm really excited to come and watch you boys this year give it a go, and really with a new team and new coaches, I know these coaches will go through thick and thin for you guys and have seen and heard all of the hard work you've put in behind the scenes over the off season. I wish you all a massive good luck for the season to come, and hopefully see some boys out of this team be better for it. All the very best, guys.
Thanks, Will, or Andy. So we're running a little ahead of schedule, so I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'd like to invite Sam Neutz up to the stage, please. So Sam's a key member within our squad. Briefly, if you can, I just want you to speak to the room about how it's been since the start and where we're at today, and just your experience of being in the off-season.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. It's been hard work right from the start, but as the boys know, the hard work starts now that we're all in the 30-man squad. But no, I've been loving it. The coaches have been great. Management as well has been really good. And yeah, hooroo.
Awesome, Sammy.
Cheers, thank you.
So again, sorry for putting you on the spot, Sam, but there'll be plenty more of that for the years to come, guys, all right? So we're going to go into our team naming now, which is quite exciting. So I'd first like to welcome Todd Patterson up first, who is one of our assistant coaches, and he is going to read out the forwards. When you hear your name, guys, we can come around the back and up the carpet. and come round.
You going to fill in some time?
Hello everybody, thank you for coming tonight. Just a few quick words before I get into the naming. Look, I feel really lucky and excited to be up here, to be honest. A few people might know me, I've been around for a long time, around the Ellesmere Traps, so some may not, but most probably do. I see the first 15, or this, as a real challenge for myself. It was something that I didn't take lightly when I put my name forward, but to be honest, I'm really looking forward to it. Great group of young men over here, and I think they're going to do us very, very proud on the rugby field. I also see it as a chance at this sort of level also to install a bit of responsibility into young men, work ethic, social responsibility, and just be a better, person leaving than you did coming in. Nowadays, with the way it is in society, there's a lot of people that struggle with being part of a team, part of a workplace, all that type of stuff. So if we can instill some of that into these guys as well as their rugby ethic, I'll be excited, and I'll also see it as a success. So it's not just rugby, boys, it's being proud of yourselves, okay, and life after rugby, all right? Side note, I circled 15 players the other day that I have had a part of their rugby, I suppose, development in the past 10 years. So 15 of these young fellas from 8 to 18 used to look down at them, now they look down at me. To be fair, they've been looking down at me for a couple of years, some of them. Jake since under 13s, to be fair. So it's really cool to be part of that, their development and all that type of stuff. So I'll name the team now. The forwards, sorry. If I can work my phone. Got it on a photo here. Now we need to understand, obviously first off the list, not the first pick, and last, not the last pick. Like, we're not in under 8s, so I'm sure everyone will understand that.
It's an alphabetical order.
Is it? I was never very good at English. To be fair, I've got a bit of A4 paper here with just first names, so I'm going to try and get the last names correct. So first up, Grayson Adams. Not here.
So Grayson's coming from work, so he'll probably join us as the night goes on.
So Grayson, Lincoln High, and plays out of the Waihora Club. James Batchelor. James from Rolleston College and plays out of the Rolleston Rugby Club. Harry Bruce.
Congratulations.
Harry at Lincoln High School, plays for Waihora Rugby Club. Angus Donaldson. Angus out of Lincoln High School, Lincoln Rugby Club. Charlie Daly. Charlie at Lincoln High School, plays out of Waihora Rugby Club. Sorry, I struggle to say Waihora Rugby Club, so I'll do my best. Finn Graham. Finn, Lincoln High School, Lincoln Rugby Club. Right. And Finn never has listened.
Wait.
Right from under 8s.
Told wait till they've sat down and then we'll call the next one.
Pardon?
Wait till they've sat down. Then we'll
All right, sorry. I'm getting too carried away.
Well done, mate.
Hurry up, sit down. All good. I've got to wait till you sit down.
Yeah.
Right. Tommy Hamilton. Lincoln High School, Lincoln Rugby Club. down. Good.
Thank you, Todd.
Sean Kempton. Rolleston College and Rolleston Rugby Club. Right.
Great, thanks, Todd.
Hugh Nichols. Akaroa High School. It is high school.
Area.
Area school. Cool. And Waihua Rugby Club.
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
Nick Hilditch. Rolleston College and Rolleston Rugby Club.
Yeah, their names are too.
Sorry. You told me to name it, mate. Josh Pollard. Lincoln High School, Prebbleton Rugby Club. Jake Pluck. Lincoln High School, Lincoln Rugby Club. Ethan Richards White. Ethan couldn't be here tonight, so we'll present him with that later on. Cool. So, round of applause for Ethan. Ethan, Rolleston College and Rolleston Rugby Club. Avi Lomia. Yep. Come on now. Avi out of Rolleston College and Rolleston Rugby Club. No, you come in. That's not Avi. Now the next young fella, Tony Worthington. So there's 3 boys away tonight. I'm sure Tim was going to mention this, but there's 3 boys away on a basketball trip with Rolleston College. So Tony's not here to receive this right now, but a round of applause for Tony Worthington. And another last name that I'll struggle with, Zach Zapich. For Zach, Lincoln High and Hornby Rugby Club. So that's me done. Hey, look, great to see everybody here tonight. Great to you fellas have got all the support behind you going forward. So they'll do you proud on the field this year, okay? So thank you very much. Cool.
Thanks, Todd. I'd now like to invite Dan Brown, assistant coach, to read out the backs.
All right, lads, because we're running heavily ahead of schedule, I'll have a quick chat before I read the names out. The other night, me and Andy and Todd were at the grouse having a debrief, as you do on a Thursday night, and one of the people at the grouse we met made a comment to me which I thought was quite cool. He said one of the best things about being involved with this team, he was a manager of this team about 10 years ago. In the future, you'll look at the rugby channel, Sky Sport, whatever you do, and you'll go, I played against that guy, I played against that guy, I played against that guy. And you see the amount of All Blacks and the amount of future Crusaders and Super Rugby players that you'll see on TV, maybe even who knows in this room, is pretty special, and that's because we're playing in the most elite grade in the South Island for First 15 Rugby. So I think you guys have a deep think about that. It's very cool, the level of rugby you guys are about to embark on, and it's pretty special. And you guys have earned the right to play in that competition. So if I was you guys, I'd be so proud of that. Enjoy the night. Obviously, you've made the team, but in years to come, you're going to see guys on TV and go, should I played against that guy? He's in the All Blacks now, so that's extremely cool. And on a personal note, just an appearance, you guys have been really, really good. We haven't had any issues, any complaints, and I can confirm from coaching junior rugby in the past that that isn't always the case. So, no, massive thank you to you guys, and hopefully all going well. We won't hear much from you in the rest of the season. And we'll have a beer with you later on, and hopefully, it'll continue going the way it's going.
I like that, Tim.
All right, All right, we'll start off naming the backs, the pretty boys and the try scorers of the team. All right. Start from the top, alphabetical order as we just learnt. Connor Bruce, Wollaston Rugby Club, Wollaston High School.
It's currently away on basketball.
Jack Barnes, West Melton, Darfield High School.
And you're worried about you?
Shannon Bright, Waihora, Ellesmere High School. Elijah Campbell, Lincoln Rugby Club, Lincoln High School. Andre DeForges, Lincoln Rugby Club, Lincoln High School.
Got your coin, mate.
I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this kid's last name, but Tino, Waihora, and Akaroa Area High School. Sorry, Tino. Ali Goodwin, Lincoln Rugby Club, Lincoln High School. Tyler Isles, Rollaston Rugby Club, Rollaston High School. Jesus. Hunter Keno, Rollaston Rugby Club, Rollaston High School.
Oh, West Melton.
Oh, West Melton. He's converted. Regan LaRue, Lincoln Rugby Club, Lincoln High School.
Another one? Take a photo?
Sam Neutz, Waihora, Lincoln High School. Caleb Smith, Rolleston Rugby Club, Rolleston High School. Ted Ward, West Melton, Rolleston High School. All right, cool. That's all the backs named. That's enough from me. Hey? Hasn't done it, Oh. We've got one more back today. He wants the coin as well. So we'll go Drew Spork, Lincoln Rugby Club, Lincoln High School. Yeah, he's lucky. Right, sweet. Now we're done. Just testing you. All right, thank you all. We'll talk to you hopefully again later on in the night. Cheers.
Right, we're gonna try something. So, give me a couple of minutes. I'm gonna try and get the Rolleston boys that are away on a bit of a video call. Hey Tyler.
What's up, mate?
Put your camera on.
Yeah, boy.
You got all the boys there?
Yeah, boys. What's up, yeah?
Hold on.
Yeah, boys.
Move over a little bit, Tony. Yeah, there we go. Hold on. Alright guys. We've got the lads from Rolleston. So sorry you can't see the phone too well. But just done the team naming. The boys over here. So congratulations on making the team, guys. We've got your coins here. While I've got them on the phone, I just want to do something, and that's announce our captain and vice captain for the year. All right, so first of all, vice captain for this year is going to be Tyler Isles. Squid, I'll try and turn you up, mate. Do you want to say a wee bit of a speech on that?
Yeah, I'll say a couple of words there. Well, first of all, I have to say thank you guys for putting me in vice captain. You know, it means a lot to lead this group of boys, or vice captain this group of boys, along with whoever the captain is. It's going to be a great season for us all, and we'll all work the asses off. So, yeah, good shit. He's put in the work over the past few months for all of us boys. If our years weren't anything, and also to the organisers behind this night. Wish I could be there with you all, but unfortunately I can't. So yeah, just like to thank you and let's get ready for a good season.
Thanks, Tyler. So just stay on the line.
Good boy.
Got some claps going on there, guys. So this decision has been very, very difficult. There's a lot of young men in this group that could easily fill these shoes. As in, you're all leaders and we all expect you to be leaders while we're out on that field. But on behalf of the coaching staff, management staff, we'd like to congratulate the 2021 captain, Tommy Hamilton. Thanks, boys.
No worries.
Big speech, mate.
Don't forget the sponsors too.
Can't remember all of them.
Stand up there.
I can stay down if you like. Thank you for the opportunity. You know, I'll do my best. Give it 100%, and I hope the boys give it 100% as well. And look forward to the season. Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Hopefully, when we're out on the field, those little chats in the huddle are going to be just as short. I'd now like to welcome Leslie Greenslade to the stand to have some words.
How many minutes you get?
Oh, only one. Hi everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Leslie Greenslade and I'm the rugby administrator at Lincoln High School. And I just want to give you a little bit of background on what we've been doing this last year. At the end of the 2020 season, we had our annual season review. And for many reasons, the 2020 season was an extremely difficult one. After we'd collated all the feedback from coaches, players and supporters, we agreed that we needed to do more to support the team in the Crusader First 15 competition for the 2021 and beyond season. Two main areas that were needed straight away were a new team name and doing more to support the financial worth of the team and the establishment of a parents committee. After discussion with a wide range of people, a couple of options were presented to the governance group in terms of a name. The preferred option was Selwyn Combined Schools. More consultation with interested parties and we followed and we actually came up with a new logo. Did you hear it? No, sorry. They will be, we'll have a new logo for the season. Everybody will be recognising it. And we'd like to thank Craig from Evolution Creative for helping establish the logo. So to the Parents Committee, in early Term 4 2020, we had a meeting and ultimately decided that we needed to jazz up the way we dealt with other people. A sponsors' evening was held a sponsors' evening was held on Friday the 20th of November. This event was both a thank you to the people that had supported the team in 2020 and an invitation to people to come and support the team going forward. This was extremely successful. Many businesses and organisations either recommitted to the team or became supporters for 2021. After the sponsors' evening, the hard work continued, and this season, for the first time, we have 22 back of jersey sponsors. We have 2 major sponsors and 4 bronze sponsors and a silver sponsor. Steve Pluck, Kerry and Raoul DeForge and Misha Campbell and the rest of the Parents Committee need to be congratulated for all the work that they've put into doing this. And maybe Steve, Kerry, Raoul and Misha, if you stand up so everybody can recognise the amount of work that you've been doing. Grayson, that wasn't for you coming in. So, yeah. Just for the parents, next Tuesday at Lincoln High School, we will be having a meeting to give out the information on what we need to be doing for the rest of the season. We'd like everybody to attend 6:30 at Lincoln High School, and we will outline the rest of the itinerary for the year, apart from what Tim's going to be doing tonight. Thank you very much.
Grayson Adams, come on up, mate.
Oh, to come down here.
Yeah, sure. Busy?
Thanks, Leslie, for those words, and Grayson for coming up. Now, in this point of the evening, I have a special guest that's come to join us tonight. Now, this gentleman that's going to speak, Aaron Stevens, is a very, very close friend of mine, and he is going to share some words, so make sure we're listening, and a little bit around what he's doing in the area of, I won't spoil it, on what he's about to speak about. So, Aaron, welcome.
Hi, thanks all. I really appreciate being able to come along and speak here tonight. This conversation is going to be about a couple of different areas. One of them is really personal to me, which was concussion. Before I get to that, I want to congratulate all the players. Some of you boys I've seen at my place at a few parties and playing beer pong on my kitchen table. I want to congratulate all the parents and the coaches and all of the people who put work into this team. There's a lot that comes together to put a team in, and great season for you. So I'm going to start it out with hands up who's had a head knock. Nice and high, boys, nice and high. Parents, bar staff. Let's see it. Okay, cool, good stuff. What I want to do is I want to talk about a journey that happened for me with concussion. So when I was young, I played a lot of soccer in Timaru, represented South Canterbury. I remember my first concussion. My first concussion was about 11 years of age and pretty much knocked me out. Ended up in hospital that night. Had about a dozen concussions since. And I want to talk about the last one that happened, because for me, with being involved with rugby for a long time, I always found them a bit funny. I always thought they were a bit funny, you know, they always go away after a couple of days. But the problem is when they don't. All right? Now I want you boys, when you go out there over your rugby career, to think about this and have the strength to talk up to your coaches or your parents if it's just not right, okay? This is called My Concussion Journey. I've been wanting to write about this experience for some time, and I was prompted when I was interviewed by my 16-year-old daughter about overcoming adversity for a school project that she was working on. It all started for me with a passion of rugby, and over time I found myself fully immersed into my rugby club, which is Littleton Rugby Club. And it started out with my daughter playing at 4 years of age. And in that club, I was privileged enough to hold many different levels, from president all the way through to coaching under sixes and everything in between. Senior teams, senior club captain, managers. Played with Coach Tim. He was on my side and broke 3 of my ribs, actually.
Carry logs, carry logs. For me, rugby was a great way to, from the coaching perspective, from being an administrator, it was a great way to give back to the game and to the players. And I always found that personally rewarding. For a lot of guys, that's the happy time of the week. The trainings, Tuesday, Thursday, the Saturday training, the Saturday game. That's always the happy time of the week for them. So to be able to do that was always good for me. I always enjoyed that part. Anyway, a couple of mates and I, we started up a rugby team for the Div 4 grade. It was called the Littleton Krakens, and this grew into a force and a culture that most teams would hope for on and off the field. And I got a huge self-reward out of providing this happiness for them. After a few years, when I realised that we were all getting a little bit too old, we started up a Golden Oldies team for Littleton, which is Littleton Cooters.
And once again, I was fully immersed into another team again and running that, playing in it, and this is going to be my rugby for the next 20 years. The day came when we were going to play Rolleston and Shirley for this Golden Oldies. It was a bit of a big deal for me because I had my nephew playing with me, and it was my only opportunity I'd ever get to play with him. I was feeling a bit under weather that day, but in Golden Oldies rugby you always have a few ports in the sheds to see you right to get out on the field. The Cooters won the Raleigh match. Sorry about that, Rooks. It was a big deal for me because I coached my junior rugby at Rolleston Rugby Club. The next game was against Shirley, and they've been struggling for numbers, so they brought some of their senior players to come along and play that day. The rules with Golden Oldies is you've got to be over 35. A lot of these players were under it. Didn't really worry us. We were all about it. The Cooters were hard on attack that day, and as normal, the physical side of us was starting to come out. There was a huge hit on my mate Cliffy, and he got floored. Then there was a lazy shoulder from Joey T, and the ogre was trying to punch him in the head. A couple of phases later, their centre, 25 years of age, ran directly at me, and I thought, I got to nail you. You were going straight to under the big white H. I got hold of both sides of his shirt, and I grabbed him and lost my balance, ragdolled him. He lost the ball. Apparently we got a try after that. But what happened in that moment when I lost my balance was the back of my head went on the hard rolly grounds. And my first thought that I have there at that moment was somebody's hit me across the back of the head with a cricket bat. That's what it felt like. And what happened in that moment was my brain went back and then forward, and I ended up with a brain bleed at the front. That is the worst end of concussion. So I don't say that lightly when I say it to you boys. And you have to show strength if you are feeling under the weather from a head knock during the coming years. All right, that's all I ask. My first memory after that is about 3 to 4 hours later. Before I get to that, they lost the ball. We scored a try. I don't even remember leaving the field. I don't have any memory for 3 or 4 hours. I'm told that I walked around the back of the field, over to the subs bench, had a couple of ports, and then got called back out to the field. Have no memory of it all. My first memory is 3 to 4 hours later. For getting Dick of the Day, there was a requirement to have a beer at that point. Some things happened in the coming days after that. 2 days later, I was driving to the coast with a workmate, and he asked me several times that day to sort my driving out because I was all over the road. I saw it differently, of course. We drove all the way to the coast. We had a meeting. We come back and we got all the way to Jackson's, and I had to stop because it was bad. And I stopped there and I basically crawled around to the passenger seat, and I was out cold for 2 or 3 hours. Like most times I've been concussed, I just thought it was a bit funny, and I presumed it would go in a couple of days. The next week we had a game over in Littleton, and I chose not to play because I was still struggling through the week. A friend of mine, Sumo, that me and Tim have played with, picked me up in his fire engine, and we headed off the port. It's Golden Oldies, so you're drinking beer the whole way. By the time we got to port, I was thrown up in the loos and couldn't work out why. Over the next few weeks, I carried on. With life, and I'm starting to battle quite hard. And this is a big deal for me because I didn't want to show any weakness, but I knew that things weren't right. 5 weeks after the head knock, I couldn't work out why. 5 weeks after the head knock, I couldn't work out why my wife was so upset with me this morning. And it took me about sort of an hour and a half to work out that it was actually her birthday, and I'd completely forgotten about it. If you know my wife, she loves birthdays, and I'd organised everything the night before, but literally didn't have the brain function there at the time to be able to remember. So from there, this is the story of what I went through from a concussion perspective. We made a plan to go and see the doctor that day, and when we met up with him, I was really quite surprised at the lack of understanding from the doctor around protocols around returning back to rugby, and just a good understanding around concussion. He didn't really have a clue at the time. I was monitored for a few weeks by the doctors and then admitted to a thing called concussion clinic. I advised my work at the time, and I can feel their uneasiness with me and concussion in the workplace and these issues moving forward. I spent 8 more weeks battling with symptoms. Now, these symptoms are dizziness, tiredness, cloudiness, vision issues, couldn't concentrate, became really vague in conversations, memory issues, short-tempered, moody, extreme intolerance to noise, smells and lights. Had a situation in Pack and Save. Had a situation in Pack and Save where I thought I was having a stroke. I thought I was stroking out, and what that was actually something I'd never experienced before, which is a thing called anxiety. That was brought about from the concussion. It's not an easy thing to talk about. So what that was like, that was the modem function that was needed at me at that time, the lights, the noise, the products, all the prices, all of those people with the trolleys that don't get out of the way. And that was all too much for me at that time. So that was the first time I experienced something called anxiety. Had another extreme moment while I was working at Canterbury University with a mate of mine, where I felt like needles were being pulled from my brain. And this was caused from going up and down the stairs, looking up and down and around, and that, once again, too much modem function. To me, I just thought that I was, in trouble. My brain was about to implode. So I was taken to hospital and had my first scan that day of my brain, and funnily enough, it turned up no issues, which astounded me. And these things were called ice pit headaches. Now, I was lucky enough in my concussion that I never actually experienced too many headaches, but this was something new for me. I hadn't heard of this before. So I carried on having all types of things that were given to me by concussion clinic, which was things like vestibular therapy and acupuncture, brain assessments regularly. But at this point, I'm starting to battle pretty hard in life. That's not an easy thing to say for me. ACC and concussion clinic were pushing really hard for me at this time to take months and months and months off work to slow down. Once again, being a bloke, I didn't want to show any weakness, right? I don't want to be weak in that space. And I'd always say that, no, I'm fine, thanks, to ACC and concussion clinic. It's funny, when you break your arm, that's going to be, it's going to be 8 weeks. And then you're going to take the cast off and everything's going to be fine, right? But with a head knock, concussion, you don't know how long that's going to take. It's impossible to say how long it's going to take. The event happened in late August, and I think we're about mid-November now. I can remember ringing my boss in tears and saying I actually can't cope at work now. I can't actually do my job. And because he's a good bugger, he said to me, mate, it's the 24th of November, take the rest of the year off. You need to rest up now. This isn't going anywhere. So I did. That day I actually had my full brain assessment by the specialist at concussion clinic. And it was decided that, you're taking a few months off to recuperate because your memory retention stats and your brain function are at the bottom end of the scale now. My wife Sharon and I had booked our 10th wedding anniversary to Bay of Islands that night. We flew out knowing that I wasn't going back to work for a good few months. We got up to Warkworth, I think it was, and it was about midnight when we got there, into the motel, and something else was starting to now happen because I've been pushing myself too hard. I was starting to vomit in my sleep, which was something new for me as well. I just needed to stop and rest, but that's just not part of me either, right? So when we returned, I sat down day one and I worked out what the hell am I going to do for the next few months, and I made a list of 43 things, and I completed 3 of them over the months that I had off because I literally couldn't do them. I remember doing 10 minutes gardening and having to sleep for 3 hours. Frustrating me, actually. It was frustrating the shit out of me at the time. I was working really hard with several different types of therapies, and nothing seemed to be working, which was increasing this thing called anxiety, which I've never experienced before. I'm very grateful for the ACC lottery that I won because the person that I was dealing with was literally the best person I could have asked for, and ACC bend over backwards in this space when it comes to head injuries. It was very difficult with all of these appointments that you've got because I couldn't remember any of them. So there had to be a process where I had to text my wife straight away. She had to put it into a calendar. Then she had to remind me on the morning that I was supposed to go to whatever appointment it was out of the several that I'd have that week. She'd have to remind me an hour before so that I'd get there. I have started using a whiteboard pen on the window of my car if I was driving along so I didn't forget things because I just didn't have the memory function there. Things are starting to look pretty grim, and I pushed really hard for an MRI. and an appointment with a neuro doctor because I needed to know how bad this was. And if I was going to recover. Somewhat, I'll leave that bit out. The thing with changing personality traits was difficult for me as well because I was starting to act different as well around my family, and that was really difficult on them as well. I was starting to act different with friends as well, and I'd regularly hear, "Don't worry about Red, he's just got a head knock. He'll come right. He'll be right." I had the neuro doctor appointment, and he told me that I could have the MRIs requesting, but also to go and see a psychologist. Psychologist? What are you going to go and see a psychologist for? I thought that was really bizarre at the time. It was well worth it. And that I needed to attend this thing called breathing therapy. And I still remember sitting on the bed, and when he said, "You're going to go to breathing therapy," and my reply was, "No, mate, I'm good. I've been breathing for 42 years. I haven't died once. I already got this down pat." Boys, if I can give you any advice to people in this room, breathing therapy is a good thing. It is a good thing on many, many levels. It's one of the key things that helped me come right. To be clear, we don't know much about the correct ways to breathe, but diaphragmatic breathing for all sorts of situations, anxiety being one of them, and for me, with the head knock, it was one of the greatest things that I learnt to do. All right, and I'd ask you, if you have the time, just do a bit of research around that, okay? The day for the appointment for the MRI arrived, and we're off to St George's. Shaya drove me in. I was super concerned because I'd heard some really bizarre stories about being pushed into an MRI. I pushed into this machine, and the first thing they did was stuck a cage over my face. They pushed me into this machine and told me I was going to be in there for 40 minutes. Well, I lasted all of about 5 seconds before I started swearing and kicking and get me out of this thing. And I had to stay dead still for 40 minutes in there, absolutely freaking out. It was awful. We got through it. I went home and slept for 2 days after that because it was too much for me. I was now struggling to be in places. I'd be sitting having dinner with my wife, and she's 3 feet in front of me, but I can hear these guys over here clear as a bell, but I'm really struggling to hear her. So all these things are starting to kick in now, which is all part of it. All the symptoms are peaking now, and things aren't getting any better. Christmas is coming. We're off to the happy place of Kaiteri for a bit of camping. Completely different experience where I'm remoting myself away in the tent. I'm not socialising with all the people that I know. Completely different experience. But while I was away, I heard about this thing called the headache clinic. And when they said that to me, I was like, "Oh, I'm not really getting headaches, so it's not really for me." And they said, "Oh, no, you need to go along." This is the second thing that helped the most when it came to the brain bleed. It's a thing called the Watson technique. So I went along, I managed to get some ACC funding for it because it's a very expensive therapy to have. And I had my first session, and I remember sitting there with this guy, Pierre, and he said, "Oh, okay, you've got 16 sessions here, we'll have you done in 7. And I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh, yeah, okay, yep, that's pretty ballsy." He laid me down and he played with the top 3 vertebrae in my neck, started to try and align them, a thing called the Watson technique, to increase the blood flow back to the brain. I left that appointment vomiting the whole way home and spent 2 days in bed. Well, to do it again the next week. The next week come around and I did it again, and the same thing happened, vomiting on the way home, and slept for 2 days. And I was like, "This is crap, this isn't working at all." My wife was pushing me, "You still going?" "Yeah, I'm going to go, reminding me to get there. Yep. I go to my 3rd appointment, and I noticed that when I left, I wasn't as ill as I had been the other times. I wasn't vomiting on the way home, and I wasn't as tired as I was, and I managed to get through a little bit more there. So I started committing a little bit more to all these exercises that they'd given me to, get me to come right. Well, after the 7th session, we both agreed that I didn't need to return for the rest of the sessions because the bulk of my effects were passing. So the 2 things that were the most important out of that is the Watson technique and the breathing stuff, right? And if you'd asked me this stuff 3 years ago, I just would have laughed at you. I would have said, "You guys are nuts." So, back to work. Tried to go back to work full time because you always worry about trying to pay the bills and pay the mortgage, and all those pressures are on as well. My boss turned around and put me on half days for a good few weeks to give me some extra repair time because I was still really vague and dizzy in conversations. I was finding it really hard. A few weeks later, I returned back to work. Well, I'm fixed now. I'm good as gold now, I'm fine. So straight back into rugby, straight back into doing everything I was before, straight back into work, straight back into everything, and then pretty quickly realised that I still needed to take care of myself. So this is 2.5 years ago now, nearly 3 years ago. And I wrote this in COVID actually. There is some lasting effects for me. Sometimes around memory, I still write things on my window with a whiteboard pen. Then if it's a hot day, I forget and push the button and it goes down and I wipe them all off. But I'm back to 95% fit now. But that took the best part of 2.5 years. And I really want to impress that on people around, if we go back to concussion. I've had a good dozen concussions. I've had probably 3 overnights just to make sure I'm all right. And I wouldn't have taken any notice of me if I was sitting in your seats right now, team. I wouldn't have taken any notice of it until I just got that one bizarre one on the back of the head. A bizarre thing happened. So that's pretty much my story around the concussion. I still have some stuff where nor'westers come in, and I feel concussion kicking in again. I can feel it. And before a storm comes in, a few hours before, I know there's a storm coming because I start to get a bit of concussion. But I'm doing heaps better. I really want you to think about that. And boys, I want to ask you again, who's had head knocks? Hands up. Yeah, most of you, eh? Most of you had it. Take it seriously, boys. Look out for each other around it. Don't be afraid. Don't show any weakness around it, eh? I always thought that by not saying anything, it's showing strength. Well, that's not the right way to go about it. What's actually occurred moving on from this type of stuff is I found myself involved in a wellbeing space with New Zealand Rugby now. So we had a hui this week. For me, this is my part of it. There's a lot of words that come under a big word like wellbeing, but it is purely around New Zealand Rugby. It's about rugby players and members of rugby clubs. And there is a website out there that I applaud you to engage on. It's called Head Start. Tim and the coaches are going to be receiving some details around the program and the details, so at least you've got some numbers and some information around it as well. Strength and weakness, eh? That was the thing that I learned out of this. What I considered was strength was actually weakness. So. Up the Honey Badgers, have a great season. Congratulations on making the team, boys, and enjoy every piece of it. It's good rugby, good stuff. Train hard, work hard. Thank you. I appreciate your time, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, Aaron. Boys, obviously, it's never easy to hear about head knocks in our game that we love, but I can't stress how important it is that if you do get them, you do need to be honest with yourself, with your parents, with your coaches, and get yourself right before you go past that white line again. So now comes to the time where I just want to speak very briefly around the rest of the pre-season we've got, and then open up to players, family members, sponsors, principals, vice principals, around any questions that they've got for myself, any of the other coaches, or even that some questions that you may have that you want the players to answer for you. So next week coming, we had Easter Saturday booked in for our theme. Now we're obviously going to change that, so weekends off. We're going to actually have Tuesday training, and Thursday night we're going to go through our theme. So theme's obviously what's going to kickstart the season, and myself and the rest of the coaches are quite excited about that. From there, we then have a game on the 10th of April against St Bede's. So this is our first pre-season with our 30-man squad. So playing, I guess, one of the teams that people see as top 4 or whatever. Nothing changes, boys. Nothing changes. After that, we then have a marae visit, where we're actually going to have Wiramu Gray come, and he's going to go through the words, the actions, the meaning and everything of the haka that we actually do. You know, because everything that we're going to do moving forward has a purpose, and we need to know why we're doing something and what it means. After that, we've then got a team from up north, Matamata College, coming to play us on the 20th, and that is to be hosted at Rolleston College. Okay, more details will come out about that, but Les, I believe, are we billeting? So we will be billeting the other teams, so start to get to know whether you can take any of the Matamata students to your house for the night. From there, we travel the day after that to Oamaru, where we have our first overnight trip. Don't smile. We've got a game to still play. Unsure who that team will be yet, but the dates remain the same. It's just depending on who actually makes that tournament. And from there, we again get straight back into hard work, and we've got our first game against Christ College on the 8th of May, which is set to be a home game. Where that is to be determined, obviously with the pushback of Selwyn Sounds. We're going to have to make sure that our field's ready. You know, but I know that the school and everyone involved are doing everything they can to have the facilities ready for us to play. Before I open up to any questions, I again just want to thank everyone for coming tonight and showing your support. Players, parents, sponsors, you know, members of schools, other coaches, coaches' partners, and obviously Wahora for hosting this event tonight. It's extremely important to me and the rest of the coaching staff that we have your support through the year. We can't do what we do on the grass without your support. You know, so again, thank you so much for everything you've done. It's been touched on as well, but Leslie and the Parents and Sponsorship Committee, again, absolutely amazing job. You know, the amount of effort that you've gone, even to make tonight be possible, is absolutely huge. I mean, being here at 4 o'clock this afternoon to set everything up is an enormous effort. So again, thank you so much, guys.